All right, my friends, we've been talking so much about the GTX 1180. It's been a lot. We've talked about it quite a bit because everybody seems to be hyped for it. But we need to talk about its little brother. Yes, my friends, that's right. It's GTX 1170 time because there is some information doing the rounds on the interwebs about the GTX 1170. Of course, I want to preface that all of this is rumor, disclaimer, none of this is known to be accurate, and I'm about to talk my head off about something that could potentially not be true in the coming days, weeks, or months as we find out more information. However, people have been quoting this article from WCCF Tech saying Nvidia's GTX 1170 specs, price, performance, and release date preliminary. So we're gonna chat about this because it appears that a lot of you have been quoting this, and for everybody who doesn't trust WCCF Tech as a source, totally fine. We still like to have discussions surrounding rumors so that we can stay up to date with what's potentially happening. Even if it might not be, we can accept the fact that we could, be wrong. We can be wrong here, my friends. But before we dive into all of the information that I'm gonna be dropping on you today, I wanna let you know that this video is brought to you by UFD.deals. Yes, my friends, UFD.deals, because we got taken off of YouTube because apparently we violated some community guidelines, which we actually didn't violate because once I appealed, they said that we didn't. Anyways, the whole point is that the UFD Deals YouTube channel will still be making videos. However, YouTube made it clear that our future is not safe with them, so we went ahead and also created a website that you can go and check out where we're gonna list all of the daily tech deals that are going on across the interwebs, and you can find them in one centralized location for you to find out everything that you need about buying things cheaper than you normally would. Yes, so head on over there, click the links, buy it there because it gives us a small kickback. We get affiliate sales off of that. It helps support the channel. Our video today is brought to you by UFD Deals, UFD.deals or UFDdeals.com, whichever one you want. But we're gonna UFD.deals is the official website. Go on, head on over there, check out the deals, and score yourself some new stuff on us for a little cheaper. Thank you. So this is the second graphics card that we're expected to get from codename Turing, which is the more refined version of Volta that we will be getting as consumers. So WCCF Tech is saying, according to the latest leaks, which is not something that they are actually showing. Rumors and information show that the 1170 is powered by a 104 class GPU. That's pretty obvious. Every 70 series has been. So the die size is around 400 millimeters squared. The GTX 1170 would have around 2,688 CUDA cores, a 256-bit GDDR6 memory interface, and 8 to 16 gigabytes of 12 gigabits per second GDDR6 memory, which is slightly slower memory than the 1180. Of course, it's going to be slightly slower. The graphics card is expected to have a core clock of 1.5 gigahertz and a boost clock of around 1.8 gigahertz. The TDP of the graphics card is unconfirmed to date, but is expected to be somewhere between 100 and 160 watts. Then, performance-wise, peak floating point 32 compute performance is expected to be around 9.75 teraflops, depending on how high of a clock speed the graphics card will be able to hit and how often. This puts it in the same league of Nvidia's existing GTX 1080 Ti, which is the thing that I want to complain about, especially with this leak. One, no it doesn't. It's not in the same class at all with that type of performance. And then two, the GTX 1180 is barely in the same performance as the GTX 1080 Ti if we look at the leaks that have been coming out. First of all, the GTX 1180 Ti at bone stock, flat stock, at its 1500 megahertz base clock does nearly a teraflop higher than that 9.75. So first off, there's already this huge gap between them. And then secondly, most cards that you're buying aren't running at base clock. In fact, you have to be running a pretty terrible system in order to get base clock on your 1080 Ti. And by terrible system, I mean you have no airflow, you have 4 of them in your system, and you're also, heating coals for a sauna in there because you're just getting the thing so dang hot that it can't actually breathe, and so it actually throttles itself back down to the base clock. My friends, most of your 1080 Ti's are running at between 18 and 2100 megahertz, which means their teraflop performance is significantly higher than this. And guess what? That means that it's outclassing it even more. And then based on the amount of information that we're having about what the GTX 1180 is supposed to be with the same CUDA cores and the same type of performance, it's barely going to beat the 1080 Ti, maybe 5 to 10%. There's no way that based on the leaks that we're getting, the GTX 1170 is going to compete with the 1080 Ti. In fact, it's probably going to be a little worse. It's going to replace the GTX 1080, not the GTX 1080 Ti. So for everybody who might be saying that this is a 1080 Ti killer, when you're looking at the specs, raw specs on how everything looks like, it's not a 1080 Ti killer whatsoever. But if we take a look at comparing it next to the GTX 1070, which is the card that it's replacing, it's not replacing a 1080 Ti, it's replacing the 1070. We see that it does have a pretty significant die increase from 314 millimeters squared. It has about 700 more CUDA cores, 2688 over 1920. Then it also has significant FP32 performance increase, going from 6.5 teraflops to 9.75 teraflops. And then another part of this that we will have to address is the fact that it's expected to have around 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory. There's basically no chance it's gonna have 16. 8 is perfectly fine for most people. And also with the stupid price increases that have been going on in the RAM market, we will not see, if they're putting 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 in this graphics card, we're seeing a launch price of around $599 guaranteed, which WCCF Tech is expecting around $499, which is a $50 increase over the Founders Edition. That $50 does not account for the fact that it's GDDR6 now instead of GDDR5, and neither the fact that it is double the memory capacity, and then also 50% larger in the memory bandwidth. And then the TDP is expected to be about the same. So that's the information that we have. Who knows if this is true? I mean, basically everything that's been coming out has been super disappointing as far as what Turing is expected to be bringing to the table, even though it's been 2 years since the release time, which might be one of the reasons why we've waited 2 years, is because of the fact that they haven't had it ready to actually increase the performance all that much. But then also potentially on the other side, this is all fake and nobody has any idea when anything's coming. And then, you know, with the fact that the GTC that's supposed to be happening in Taiwan at Computex has announced that it's about laptops, HDR displays, G-Sync HDR displays, and then also the GTX 10 series cards, we could just be seeing Pascal for the longest time, because I have plenty of you in the comments telling me, Brett, we're not getting new cards until at least next year. Why would they release new cards when they're still selling out like hotcakes? Fair enough. They're not selling out like hotcakes anymore. That ended a few months ago. Like, I don't know where you've been or why you still think that they're having phenomenal sales. They're not. They're not selling anything right now. Guaranteed, not guaranteed. Obviously, things are still going out of stock at MSRP, but at the same time, they're not selling out in the droves that they did before, nor are they making the giant profits that they were before. It would actually be a pretty good time to go ahead and drop out some new cards. And then we also had information that the GTX 1060 is actually going to be changing slightly, and by slightly I mean not at all. So basically the GP104 core that powers the GTX 1080 and the GTX 1070 will now be used on the GTX 1060, because the GTX 1060 previously used the GP106 core, whereas the bigger brothers used the GP104. Now, what does this mean? Practically absolutely nothing. All this means is that the GP104 core, with CUDA cores cut down and everything scaled down, is now going to be released as a GTX 1060. When you look at the actual chip that's on the PCB, it's going to say GP104 instead of GP106, but it's going to perform exactly the same because they're basically the same technology. The reason that matters, as far as what's going on with the new series of cards, is because the fact that they're starting to sell cut down cores of something that they would be producing normally. Like, why would they have to do this? They wouldn't have to unless they're trying to clear stock, unless they made too many 1070s, too many 1080s, because they didn't quite anticipate the mining demand correctly. So now they have to cut them down and call them GTX 1060s, because they know what they're going to release in the coming few months, which is going to be replacements for the 1070 and 1080. Nothing about a GTX 1160, which will replace the mid-tier. So if you cut down the cores on that GP104 die, then you can sell the GTX 1060, still make sales off of cards that you probably are no longer going to sell as soon as you announce something at Computex. So that's the general idea as to why a GP104 GTX 1060 matters. There's a lot of technical talk in that makes it slightly confusing. Basically, the GTX 1060 staying the same, but it means that they look like they're clearing stock, they're clearing house, and they want to get rid of a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, so that's gonna wrap up today's video. Let me know what you think of the GTX 1170 specs. What do you think of the fact that Nvidia is putting GP 104 cores on the GTX 1060? How do you feel about that? What does it make you think inside? Are you just weeping in joy for new graphics cards coming out? Let me know either down in the comments or in the community Discord. The link will be in the video description for that. And also to remind you, yes, my friends, this video is brought to you by UFD.deals, our one and only special location for you to find the hottest tech deals that are happening across the interwebs today, tomorrow, whenever you happen to stumble across that website. It'll help us out a lot if you guys go over there and start buying stuff there. It definitely supports us. So it's technically an ad. Nobody's paying us besides you guys. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that we're community supported in a large majority of what we're trying to do. You guys keep everything going, and I am phenomenally excited that I have you guys as part of what we're doing here. So be sure to smash the like button if you enjoyed this video. Even if you don't like the fact that we're talking about rumors on WCCF Tech, I completely understand. I feel you there, but let's discuss it anyways. Oh, that's it. Anyways, yeah, I'm Brett with the UFD Tech channel. Woo, what was that? Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.